Yeah, we've got a lot to cover here. So what we're going to do today, our agenda, fast and furious, because I do want to get as many of your questions in as we can, but we've got so much to show you. It's so exciting. Lectora Desktop 21 has been a long time in the making. Some of you on the call, no doubt, have been involved in our LEAP program and in our beta, and I want to thank you. Because of you, this release is better. And we appreciate you and love the work that you've done to help make a better Lectora for the whole community. We're going to show you really quickly. I'm going to run through fast and furious what's new in the new Lectora Desktop 21. Josh is going to show off our exciting new mod dev and give you a rapid view of how quickly you could put together a course or a project using Lectora Desktop 21. Then Alan and Bill are going to jump in and give you some overview of their features, some of their favorite features in LD21. So let's go. One of the new things you hear us talk about ModDev, our new modular development system that is built into Lectora Desktop 21. You'll be hearing a lot about this. It's not just about templates. There's a lot of instructional design built into ModDev, a lot of process, and a whole lot of fun. So our frameworks are kind of like the skeleton for getting started in ModDev. A framework is a full unstyled course template. We heard recently, Joe and I, from somebody who used to work on the custom team back with Trivanis, and they were saying there sounds like a lot of stuff that we can unpack and look at just in the logic that was built into those frameworks. So they're not just for new people, they're also for those of you who have been building for a while, kind of take a new look at some instructional flows and see how some things are done in Lectora. The ModDev system is comprised of those frameworks, themes, page layouts, wireframes, style packs. You'll get a sneak peek at a lot of those things here. They all fit together in a kind of a mix and match way that is brand new to Lectora Desktop 21. We have a brand new UI that was, Bill's going to actually show a little bit, give you a tour of some of this. It was actually built using XAPI data from a test that was created in Lectora. We have automated button states and button groups. A lot of our devs, this was a very popular feature in our early release and previews. Devs are finding this really helps streamline development and using buttons, not just for navigational buttons, but for creating buttons for interactivity. And now you can even add an image and make a button. So if you want to click on a character and change a character pose, you can do that as a button. Scrolling action, this is really cool. Another favorite of Bill's. He's done some really amazing things using the action triggers that you can now build. Let me back up. When you scroll, you can trigger an action in Lectora. And that also has all kinds of interesting creative opportunities for gaming, for longer courses, longer scrolling courses in mobile. I'll let Bill talk about it because he's the one that's actually playing with it and he can speak to it much better than I can. Sync events, we have improved media event syncing, easier control of media actions. And you can now import custom palettes. We have visual style previews with when you're inheriting elements, better guides and rulers that actually adjust and two different views. So if you're working in a mobile view and you set up your guides, that's different from when you're working in desktop view. Another great productivity feature. We've got, of course, Lectora. Everybody knows Lectora for accessibility. That is one of the hallmarks of Lectora, always has been. We've improved closed captioning. We have some better media controls where you can adjust the speed of your media play. Lots of other little details there. These are all available on our website, so you can dig in. Even better, you can get a trial and take a look at some of these features yourself. XAPI. Bill's going to be talking about the XAPI and tracking. It's amazing the way you can get to where you're actually tracking learner behaviors, not just what they're clicking on the screen. And that final little element, a lot of people ask us, can you please bring back the mail to action in Lectora? And it's back. So you can now use this to solicit feedback or share course data or completion information. So the number one thing is you speak, we listen. We want to hear from you. We want to know what's important to you in Lectora. We're investing in Lectora time, energy, and of course resources, because we want to make the best Lectora that has ever been available. And it comes from your feedback. So thank you. Thanks for being here. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Josh to give you that mod dev tour.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. While I'm getting changed over, getting my screen shared and everything, Andrew, is there any questions from the audience so far?
Yes, there's several questions about these changes. Is this mod dev thing replacing the regular way of using Lectora, or is this just a new additional option for those of us that have been using Lectora for a long time?
Who wants to take that? Do you want me to take that? I'm happy to. All right, so it is the icing on your Lectora cake. You don't have to change anything about the way that you have used Lectora in the past. This is something that we're hoping will make Lectora more accessible to new people coming to Lectora for the first time, but also giving something to streamline productivity and to help longtime users of Lectora look at ways that you can use templates, assets, and modular elements within Lectora. But there is nothing that is fundamentally changed to how you've used Lectora, the power of Lectora, and what you can do with Lectora. That's all still there.
Okay, excellent. And then one other question we'll take at this time. I mean, there's lots of questions, but I'm sure we'll answer some of these as we go through it. But will the new media with the new media player features, are these changes to the CSS used for the player skins?
That's a Joe or Bill question.
I don't think we've changed the CSS for the player skins yet.
No, but on the horizon, we're going to have some new releases coming down the pike that will address exactly that. In as much as we're going to do a lot of that for you. We're going to build a bunch of brand new media player skins that all the CSS is taken care of. It's all custom. You'll be able to download it from the library, get something that matches some of these themes that you're going to see that are going to show up in this mod dev stuff. There's a lot yet to come, even though we're going to have a stacked presentation today, and there's a whole lot in LD21. But the road ahead is pretty great. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's plow ahead, and maybe we'll get more questions later.
Perfect. Can you see my screen here with Lectora21 up?
Yep, looks great.
Perfect. Okay. So as Chris has mentioned already, so modular development is a big release here with LD21. And as well, this modular development functionality will be coming to LO in the future, in the not so distant, not so far. We will get into that when it's time. But so this functionality is going to be coming to both tools. But really, where we started out with this modular development thing is we looked at the tool as, okay, what makes Lectora so powerful? And that's the fact that you have so many options, so many things that you can do with it. But also what maybe makes it a challenge for maybe a new user to come in and get something done. And it's because there's so many options, so many things you can do with it. So we're like, well, what if we just take the most common use cases we can find based off of our past experience in instructional design, as well as the customer success team's experience talking to users and these different use cases. And what if we just streamline the way that they can get these different use cases accomplished to meet their different learning objectives? And so we went about building a system, and obviously ELB's background is, we build templates. We've done that for years. And so we've integrated some of these templates into Lectora to give you just a real nice system that has a really nice flow to it, that you can get to a basic or a more complicated course in relatively less steps and a lot faster time. And so all of that, this whole mod dev framework, this whole mod dev process starts by what we call by opening a course framework. Now, a course framework, like Chris said, is an unstyled Lectora project that has built-in course logic. So again, these are different use cases we found from talking to our audience, as well as things that we've come across just in our experience. And so we have a release of 12 frameworks initially. There will be more to come, but these are our release for now. And so we have 3 different families of these frameworks. So we have a linear family, which, as it sounds, just kind of goes from one page to another or one chapter to another, just in order. Then we have some pre-test ones that have pre-tests at the beginning to allow you to determine, maybe some course logic later on, whether people will take certain content based on how they scored, or if you just want to test them before they start taking the module. So there's 3 different pre-test type frameworks there. There's also these different branching frameworks, and what these allow you to do is gives the learner a choose your own adventure kind of path, where they can go take different content in whatever order they want to take it in. And so they're very powerful, and there's a lot of logic built into these. And so when these were built, this basic linear one, we kind of did a dry run of a brand new developer, which happened to be me, going through and building this framework for the first time just from scratch. And we clocked that at about, it takes about 30 minutes to get to where we are at with this. We're not even close to some of the things that we have in here. And from there, we're like, well, as you get more complicated, that time savings by just starting with this really goes up exponentially. And so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how you build in modular development here by just starting with this basic linear framework. And so I'll click on this framework, I'll click create, and as you see, this opens up a new Lectora project for me to where I have a bunch of pages already preloaded with a basic outline for a course. There's even a test in here to get that started for you as well. And so all the actions, everything that you need to have this score out to be saved as a SCORM file or other publishing formats, all in here as well. So you're good to go. But as you can kind of see, this looks really bland. I mean, it's unstyled. There's nothing really much to this. It's a white page with some text on it. That's not going to be very appealing to most users. And so we're going to add a theme to this. And so we'll go over here to the design tab, which if you've been using Lectora for a long time, you're probably familiar with themes. However, these are not the themes that you're used to. These are fully redesigned, a new set of offerings here with a number of different styles, different color variations. We also have options to where some will have navigation, some won't. The reason behind that is just because these course frameworks, some of them rely on logic that is not linear. That is not just, I want to go from forward to the next page or back to the previous page. And so we want to give a way to where we could preserve that logic for you, but also allow you to use themes. And so we've created a no-nav theme, which is what I've applied here. So this is the minimus style theme in the color variation known as grayscale. And as you can see, it adds navigation, persistent header footer, just like you're used to. This one also, as I go into run mode, you'll see this a little better, has a flyout menu to where you can now see an outline of your course here, and they can navigate to various different spots within this course just from that menu. Not all of the frameworks or the themes will have that, but this particular one does. So as I'm looking at this theme too, I'm thinking, well, I like this style. I'm just not sure I like this color variation. So I'm going to come in here real quick and just change this out to this moonlight color variation. It has a bit of a darker header and a darker footer. As you can see, it just automatically switched those just like you would in the previous themes. One thing that you get with these themes that you didn't get before is they're now all responsive. So they will go down to your various RCD views that you have available to you. And so if you, the same thing with frameworks and all the other things that we'll be showing today, they can all respond to that various view that they may go into. So really very powerful new themes here. But now as we're looking at this course, I'm thinking, well, yeah, I can get my attention getter in there to tell people what's in it for them in this course. I can get my objectives in there. But really I only have one content page. That's not going to really suit my material that I have available to me. So to add more pages to this, this is nothing, most of you will be familiar with this if you used Lectora before. I'm going to come over here to the Home tab, and you see this Add Page drop down here. When you look at these this drop down, a lot of these, if you used Lectora before, these seem familiar to you, but there have been some changes to these pages. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a new page here. I'm going to go ahead and just hide the menu here while I'm looking at this. But you'll notice here, these new page layouts, the containers are in a different spot for you. And this is so that they match up with our frameworks and our wireframe interactions, which we'll get to here in a moment. And so that way everything just kind of fits to the same design grid that we've developed. And so this is a really good way to see what that actually looks like with these placeholder content boxes here. Now I'm thinking, okay, I have my next page, but what I really need is an interaction in here. And so from here, I'll go up to Tools and come to the eLearning Brothers template library by clicking on the template library icon up here. And you'll notice a new redesigned experience here as well. If you're familiar with it in the past, it's been just basically an iframe of our website that's put on here that you could access through our main just browser version. But here we've redesigned this so that it's kind of streamlined for you to find everything that you might need at your fingertips. So we have some more interactions. We have some course starters, which are different outside of this process. But I just want to add some interaction to this course. And so I'm noticing here I have these wireframe templates. Now what these wireframe templates are is similar to like your course framework. They're unstyled, but they have all the logic built into it to just get a jump start on these interactions. Again, a lot of time savings, especially if you're maybe not as familiar with Lectora as you'd like to be or whatnot. So I'm going to come in here and see for my learning objectives, I really want to use this, let's do this 3-panel click to reveal here. So I'm going to click into this and then go and download this AWO file here, which is a library object, so we'll insert right into my project here. And as you can see, it adds this page in here with all these buttons, some instructions and everything for me to learn how to use this. And so we'll just kind of preview this real quick in run mode here so you can see what's going on here. So there's just, a 3-column, 3-panel click to reveal here, just revealing each of the content as the buttons click there. Let's come back over here into edit mode. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is great. I'm going to go add my content to this. I'll edit this. I'm not going to do that during this demo, but the last thing that I really want to do is, okay, now that I have my course built out, I really want to make this look really nice. And right now I have my header and my footer in this theme, this Minimus Moonlight theme. I'm thinking, well, I'd like to make it match my theme here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the Design tab again and click on this Style Packs icon. What this will do is open up the media library for you to this Style Packs folder. And then you can kind of scroll through and find the one that you're looking for. So I know this one is Minimus Moonlight. I'll go ahead and insert that. And as you can see, it adds these different groups of objects here at the project level. But as I navigate back to my first page, you'll notice something here if you're familiar with Lectora. Typically, these objects that are put at the project level will then apply to everything below it because of inheritance. So you would see all these groups on this page. But style packs are a special exception to the inheritance principle. Because if you navigate over here to the page properties as well, you'll also notice they don't show up here in your inheritance. So you're probably thinking, okay, well, how do I apply those? Well, we added this apply style drop down here for you, which will bring up a drop down of all the different layouts that are coming with this style pack. And if you notice here, you also have these little tags here. It's 2-column, 2-row, right, bottom, top, 3-column, yeah, and so on. If you look over at your Project Explorer, you'll notice those tags are also there on most of these pages. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to start applying these styles to this page. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click this drop down. This one's a 2-row from what this is telling me. And it's going to apply this to that page there. I'm going to go ahead and control click to apply the top to these two. And then right here, these are also 2 columns here. This one's a 3-column. We'll go ahead and throw that one in there. This page here doesn't have a tag to it, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the 2-column because I think that will look the best. This grid here. And then this one's going to be a 2-row out here. And then these are also 2 columns, so I'll just shift click these guys and add these 2-column style to that. So as you can see, I still need to go and style my test, but due to just time constraints, I won't do that right now. As you can see, this now applies this style to all these. Now, what if I decide I don't like this moonlight theme and I try to go back to, say, a morning star no nav, which is the same style but different color pattern, different color variation. Well, okay, I changed my theme there, but do I have to go back and do that whole process again to reapply that style pack? No, you don't. So we'll just come in here again and click on style packs and click on the morning star. And it has now applied that new morning star style pack to all my pages already mapped. And so it's really just a quick way to design and style your project. Works together, everything works together seamlessly. Again, it all responds to your mobile views. So it's just a new process to allow you to build Lectora courses quicker. Again, this is not the only way to build in Lectora. There's obviously thousands of different ways to build in Lectora, but this just gives you an easy way to get to something really quickly, particularly if you are a new user or maybe an instructional designer that's not as familiar with development. It gets you everything you need to just get a really nice finished project going very quickly. So that's
Josh,
what I have.
If you apply one of those style packs and say those aren't your company colors, can you edit those?
You can. So everything within ModDev is editable. So if you come in here, you can click into all of these different objects and change the colors on them. Keep in mind, if you do change colors on these and you go and you swap them out like I just did, any edits you made previously will not be maintained. It's just how it works. But you can go in here and edit this and make it match your corporate style, whatever you want to do.
Yep. And of course, you can save it iteratively too. So if you want to play with different things and experiment, when you get one, you can save it. And then if you swap and it goes away, you can always go back to that project and just edit it again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's what I have. So I'll pass the time to Alan now, I think, and take it away, buddy.
Great. Just passing the screen over to Alan now. A couple questions. So can you change the page name if you use the style pack?
Yeah, you certainly can. So you can change anything you want to in any of those, the wireframe or frameworks page names that are in the Project Explorer. We've included a little style tag off to the left-hand side of the stage, just in case you do make that change, because that's pretty reasonable thing to want to do when you're in the tool. So even if you've gone ahead and edited before or after, you've applied a style pack, you've made some changes, you'll always have a quick reference there so that you can know what each page relates to rapidly at a glance, right?
Bill, I think it's important that folks know that these elements that are in ModDev were actually built in Lectora. And we're taking advantage, for those of you who've been around a while, we're taking advantage of library objects, we're taking advantage of inheritance, we're taking advantage of everything that is native and powerful within Lectora to make Lectora better. These aren't something that the engineers got together in a room and said, hey, how can we put some templates in here that nobody can edit? This was about how can we use what's in Lectora to elevate and expose some of the goodness that's already baked into Lectora and give people a jump start on these things so that everybody at every level of development, whether you're a new or if you know the 5 moments of need, if you're in a more or if you're stuck and you just need to be able to, how do I do something in that moment? You can go to this toolbox of ModDev and pull these things out and bring them into your project, and they work just like anything else that you would have built from scratch in Lectora yourself.
So these being super easy to access and use, can we be creating our own style packs, our own project themes?
You want to do that, Joe, or do you want me to do it? Yeah, not quite yet, but look in the future. We might be trying to figure out how to make that a little easier for you, right? Especially if you've got brand colors, you've got a specific need for your organization that isn't quite exactly what we have in here. We're trying to figure out how to make that happen for you as we go forward. This is kind of a first step.
What I would say right now as kind of a workaround to that, what you would do is at the beginning of a large project, go through, pick the frameworks that you want to use, pick the styles and themes and templates that you want to make available, have somebody in your organization who is a designer modify those and customize you. And then when you start projects, instead of starting from scratch from the framework, you would have your own library of templates and things that are already based on the ModDev grid, and then use those as your project starters.
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? So same thing as we've always had. You can always start a course from your own custom template in the exact same place it's always been.
Yep, which
and all
is
these
even
things
more
are Lectora objects, so.
Oh, yep, exactly. And when you, it's even more powerful in Lectora Online when you can actually collaborate and share these things real time. But that's the next webinar. So back to you, Bill.
We'll move it back to Alan.
Okay, Tim, thank you very much. So one of our senior developers know the way we used to create buttons, right? We needed to create like 2 instances of the buttons for having selected states or disabled states. Now we have revamped the buttons pane, and we have created new custom states. So this is really good because it allows us to create a new elements like togglers, and that I'm going to show you in a minute. And we can also use images as buttons that we can use as a multi-state object. So this is a really, really good feature that all the people, a lot of people wanted. So we made this possible. And let me show you first how this works. My preview, okay. So you can see this is a menu button. You click on it, you will get your menu. And if you notice, these changes, right? This was just a regular hamburger, a button icon, and then when you reselect it, it changes to the closed one. As you can see now, the hover state is showing the hamburger button, but because I set it this way, set up this way, I'm going to show you how to disable this option in a minute. Also, we have new selected states and also feedback buttons for correct or incorrect answers, as you can see in this example. Okay, let me first open this hamburger button, and let me show you here in the style how this is set up. Okay, as you can see, we have normal state, we have hover state, we have down disable, visited and selected. This is different. That's when it's different. But if you don't want to have the hover state enabled, you can just disable it. And next time, or even your down state disabled, next time you preview it, you won't see that hover state. See, and the toggle button works as it should, right? Same with the closed caption here. This is perfect for creating these sort of sidebar elements like menus, like CC, closed caption, and windows or pop-ups. This is perfect for interactivity. Not only we wanted to have buttons for navigation, but we wanted to create or be able to have a lot of more interaction with our templates and with all the things you want to create in Lectora. And let me show you real quick the feedback button, right? Because I have here incorrect state and correct state, but these states are created by just clicking on the plus button here, and this is a new custom state, so you can change whatever you want, like just a hint maybe, and you can change the color here. Let's say yellow. Okay, not that yellow, not that color, probably this one. And you can have a new state, and you can just change the action here, trigger, change it to, instead of incorrect, to a hint. So let me preview this real quick so we can move on to the toggle switches. And here, so we have another custom state created that we didn't have in the past. So this is really good. And for togglers, what can we enable or disable with togglers? But before I show you this, let me show you how to create a button from an image. This is pretty simple, guys. You just have to right click on your image. This is actually a PNG, and click to convert button. As you will see, this will change the background. We have a little drop shadow added in here. Let's go to the style. If you want, you can remove it, remove the drop shadow, and you can change the background, the color background. So let's put it like this gray, right? So let's see how this looks inside the pane. These are the regular states. Remember, you can create your own custom states, and this is really cool because, as I was mentioning before, and also Chris mentioned, you can have multi-state objects created from buttons. You can have your characters, and you can switch them with new images or new poses. Like here, my selected state is different. So now, if we preview this, and we're going to use one of our togglers in here, you'll see how you can just change the appearance or the state of an image that is acting now as a button. But think about this as a multi-state object, right? That you can swap images. So we are also working on a brand new UI kits of buttons for interaction and navigation that will be available pretty soon. Will come in pretty soon, and this matches all of our new theme and we styled Josh just showed a couple of minutes ago. So we'll expect or wait for this in our library. These are really cool, and this will match all of our new themes created specifically for Lectora21. Real quick, let me show you how to add different guides here on our different RTD views. For example, let me add a new horizontal guide in here. Let me pull this down a bit, like in here. And when you move to the tablet portrait view, you can have different horizontal guides that are independent from the main view. So you can also have your portrait device view, and you can add a guide. Let me add a second guide. So you can align your elements according to the view you want to develop. So this is also a new feature. So I know new developers and legacy developers ask for this feature, and now we have it available for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed these new features in Lectora. Definitely my favorite is the new multi-state button with images, or the ability to turn a button into image. This is really cool feature, and I hope you guys really enjoy it and make the best out of it. So it's the turn off a for wheel. Thank you guys.
So I'm going to share my screen in just a minute here, but I am, if you could pass that over to me there, that'd be good.
Really quick, Bill, there are some long time, we've got somebody that's been with Lectora since version 2, and we just want to make ultra clear, Lectora is still usable in the old version. If I want to start with a blank slate, I can still do that, right?
100%.
We're just talking new features, not replacement features today.
That's right.
Awesome. All right, Bill, take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing kind of a lot. I've got a big chunk of things that I'm supposed to share today, so I'm going to try to barrel through as much as I possibly can here, while also hopefully not making it too super confusing. I'm going to show you a couple examples of 2 new features that I think are really, really cool, and then we're going to be discussing the UI changes that went into LD21, because as you've seen when you're looking at all the presentations so far, everything that's wrapped around, right, the stage is completely different. It's all brand new. We're going to talk about why we ended up where we ended up, how we ended up where we ended up, and some of the logic around some of the changes that we did. And hopefully we're going to do that in 20 minutes and still have room for questions. We'll see what we can do here. So the first thing that I want to show is we've got a new set of triggers. I'm also just actually, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to turn off my webcam because I'm going to move over to my other machine, and then you don't have to stare at the side of my head here. But so we've got a new set of triggers in LD21 that allow you to, well, trigger your actions when a user scrolls in and out of view, right? Well, when a user scrolls an object in and out of view on the screen. Basically, it's pretty simple, right? As you can see, this page that I've got here, I've got a few actions tied to it, and as normal, right? I've got a set of triggers. This one particularly is set to scroll out of view. We also have a scroll into view. We have some actions that are associated with it, and a target that's associated with it. Exact same actions you're used to, exact same method of targeting that you're used to, but now instead of click or on show or something like that, you can trigger those actions to occur, whatever action you want, when the user moves the screen up and down and an object moves in and out of view. Okay, really, really, really simple stuff in theory, but really, really practical and very powerful in practice, and it makes for a much more dynamic course than you might otherwise get. One kind of little detail you'll notice about this sample that I'm going to show here is that it's not a standard format Lectora course. I'm going to preview it here so you can actually see what works in just a second, but you'll notice that this is done in kind of an atypical format. Remember that Lectora allows you to build a course in whatever size, shape you want. You're not stuck to a typical desktop configuration. You're not stuck to a standard slide view style course. You can build something a lot more like a modern web experience in Lectora than you might realize. And these particular triggers that I'm going to cover today are super useful in those types of situations where you have a longer page with a lot of content that a user needs to, digest. These go particularly well in there, right? And since that kind of modern single page, scrolling course is pretty hot in e-learning right now, I find this to be a really, really, really great addition. So that's what this is, right? This is a single page scrolling responsive course that takes advantage of these new triggers. As I scroll down the page, what you'll notice is certain things start to progressively move into and out of view, right? Okay, here I've got this new interaction that just popped up and my elements transitioned in as I moved down the page. I can interact just like I normally would. I've got nothing below it, but as I move up, we've got new content that reveals itself. Similarly, we've got another click to reveal down here. Now, in this particular example, we've applied these triggers in 2 ways. One that we're looking at right here, in conjunction with transitions on the page to create kind of a more sophisticated, webby, parallaxy, some people might say, kind of a feel to our course. But there's a lot more going on there. Whoops, oh boy, did it pop off on me? Probably did. That's this good old GoToMeeting, gets me sometimes. But there's a lot more going on in this course, and there's a lot more you can do with those particular triggers than just trigger animations and entrances, right? So one of the other ways when this reloads that we used this scroll into and out of view on this particular scrolling course is to trigger a media object that's a little bit lower on the page. So as I'm scrolling down the page, you notice my video that I've got popped in here automatically starts. One of the concerns that a lot of IDs have about this type of build is they're like, well, you know, I want to put video, I want to put media, things like that into my course, and how do I know that my user is going to interact with it? I've just got a single page. I'm not tracking page clicks. I'm not seeing that they completed anything necessarily in there. Well, this is kind of a good entry to that, and when added to a bunch of the other really cool and advanced features that we have in Lectora, well, you can kind of get there. We've just got a simple scroll into view action. As soon as this color block back below the video scrolls into view on the page, we automatically start playing this video to kind of force the user, or at least gently nudge them to pay attention to what's going on the screen. Now, in conjunction with the thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit in a minute here, the media sync events, you can really make sure that they watch this. Same thing with some of the timeline actions that we've got on the video anyway. By throwing other content out there. There's a lot that you can do with it, really, suffice to say, beyond just making your course pretty. If you have a particular section of a course, for instance, where, I don't know, you want to throw a message, right? So, hey, this is the knowledge check portion of my course. I'm going to go ahead and throw a message to my learner that says, hey, go out and grab, the ILT manual that relates to this particular presentation, read pages 24 to 26, come back here, press OK, and then answer this knowledge check. You can do that kind of thing really, really easily with these triggers, because again, they're just triggers to let you do the actions that you're already familiar with. I'm going to walk you through each of those just very rapidly so you can see how simple they are, and you can see, hopefully, how powerful they are just by looking at the drop downs. Again, you set an action on an object, assign it instead of what you're used to with show, hide, or click. We have scroll into or scroll out of view. Choose your action you actually want to do here, which is the same giant list you're used to, right? The same tons of things you can't always do. And then you choose any target object currently in that page, just like you're used to. In this particular example, right, just to give you an idea how it was working, when I first previewed it, as I scrolled down the page, my page title intro, this top object up here, as it moved off the screen, as it scrolled out of view, I did a series of actions. I released the quote icon here. I released my quote body content, the attribution, and the line below it. But I also hid the begin button that was up here ahead, because we know the user's already started moving. They've got past this point in the page. We can remove that from the screen. Okay. So very similarly, if I move down to my Project Explorer here and I look at what I've got going on this background color object that's right around my video here, I've just got an on scroll into view, play. And again, it's exactly what you would expect. Trigger, action, target object. Just a more interesting, kind of a unique way to do this kind of thing, okay? So that's pretty simple. Again, I think it's pretty powerful in as much as it's a really convenient, really easy, and kind of a fun way for people like me to add a lot more, just those little details, right? To add a little bit of sophistication and make your course a little more dynamic than you might otherwise be able to do in other versions of this and other tools. All right, so the next one that I want to play with also relates to media, but this one is, we've kind of updated our media sync event dialog, okay? I'm just going to go ahead and preview this little kind of a template thing we're working on here and show you what it is before I walk you through it. All right. So while this is loading, I'm going to explain what it is. This is a quick template we're working on. It's more of a traditional slide-based, style template than you might that you're used to. This is our navigating our solar system course. Got a quick little icon up here. It's an image button, just like Alan was talking about. When I press that, it transitions in a bunch of these other image buttons, which have nice little hover states. These are all built-in hover states that tool took care of for me. I'm going to press Mars here, and immediately, right, I get a new video, I get some navigation stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this video. I get my little intro going, and then pretty quickly there, we paused the video. As you can see, the play icon reappeared. And then we've got this hold up. What makes the red planet so red? And some questions. So we've got a knowledge check, right? Interactive video quizzing. Really, really simple and easy to do, though, especially in this tool because of our improved media sync events. I'm going to go ahead and hit an answer here. I think it's red because it's got rust in the soil. It turns out I was right. And hit close. And as soon as I do, my video starts right back up and continues on, right? So that's pretty slick. I'm going to show you how that gets done. Now, I've tried to simplify what's going on in the rest of this template by just kind of stripping it down to what we just looked at, so we don't have to kind of look through much in the Project Explorer. Up above, the video group here, we've got kind of our general navigation and the framework for this. But really, we need to only pay attention to two things, because we saw a video in here, and we saw that it popped our questions. Well, our questions are in this pop-up section right here. Our video is our video. Those of you who are used to, Lectora in the past, you're used to probably seeing actions tied to every object that does a thing. Well, in this case, we don't have any actions tied to our video. That's because of what we're talking about right now. They're all in this Sync Events pane. If I go up and I click this Sync Events button, you get this fun little dialog that pops up. Over to the left-hand side, we've got a preview of our video right here. On the right-hand side, we've got an Add Event button, and then we've got an Edit Event Action section right here. This Edit Event Action section is exactly what you're used to with our actions, right? It's a series of actions that you can choose, and then the target for that action. The difference is that these actions are tied to a specific time code in the video. Now, I'm going to show you how to actually add a new one. Let's say, and if you look at the ones that we have, right, you can clearly see what they're going on and doing. At 4 seconds, we've got a show action to show our pop-up. We've also got a pause action to pause the video itself. But let's say I want to add something else. I want to add a quick little message at, I don't know, 6 or so seconds, maybe here. All right. I'm just going to hit the plus, and I'm going to go ahead and pause, because I like to tend to pause my video while I'm working on my actions. Yeah, it looks like I said at 7:26. I like round numbers, so I'm going to go in here and edit this to make it actually directly at 8 seconds on the nose. Currently, I have no action. I'm going to set that to display a message. And then here, I'm just going to put in a new message. Howdy, folks. I'm also just going to go ahead and add a secondary action, right? Now, it's picked up the current time code that I'm on, so I'm going to back that out because I want this to happen concurrent with the previous action. I'm just going to add another pause action in there. I go pause, and then I select my specific media object. Press OK. Now that's really all there is to making this kind of thing work. So I'm going to hit View, Preview, and what we'll see is the same thing we saw a second ago, but in addition, now we're going to get a nice message that pops up over our video, and it's going to pause it a second time. So I'm going to answer my quiz, close it out. I got it wrong that time. Let it continue playing. And then when we get to 8 seconds or so, there we go. Video pauses again, and we throw a message. All right. Now, a message and pausing video may not be, super duper useful, but think about all of the different actions that are available in Lectora, right? So now, a minute ago, I was talking about how in like a vertical scrolling course, or a single page course, or a media heavy course in general, one of the things that folks might be a little concerned about would be whether or not people are consuming that media. One of the things I really like about this media sync events option is that you can track your users and you can track their consumption of this media through XAPI statements. That's just because I love XAPI, but you can do literally anything else, all of the other actions that you're really accustomed to, as long as it pertains to the page that you're on and the objects you have available, through that media sync events page or dialog. And it's tied specifically to the timeline of your media independent of the new timeline on the page and independent of other actions that are going on around it. So it's, again, really, really, really simple, but super powerful in the same way. Okay? All right. Now, barreling on through. I'm going to go ahead and hop over to this kind of third thing, and this is really the big thing. We really could probably spend an entire webinar just on this, and we may, in fact, in the future. But the first thing that you're going to see when you get into LD21 is that we gave it a facelift, right? We gave it a completely new interface. A lot went into this, so again, I am going to kind of give the elevator pitch on this. We're going to try to barrel through it, but the two main things I want to cover about the UI today are that, one, it was ultimately chosen by users, by Lectora users through Lectora, interestingly, and two, there's actually some logic behind how we set up the colors and the icons for this interface. All right, so I'm particularly proud of this, right? Like this is kind of a testament to the power of Lectora. When we first started developing here, okay, what we realized is we knew we needed to update the interface. We wanted to go super modern, and we did. We built this kind of very stark, all black and white version. Looked absolutely wonderful on paper, but we realized that while we were working with our own work, it was actually kind of causing some problems, and it wasn't going to cut it for our users. Kind of became a little difficult to navigate the ribbon, to find some key elements in the Project Explorer, and just added a little time to development. So we did some internal, some external focus groups, and what came out of that was pretty clear. We need to put some color back in, okay? And obviously, we also needed to make sure that it worked before we went through the pretty, laborious process of getting the design in the tool, right? Because what if we ran into another similar situation where we built out this really beautiful UI, but actually it's not very practical. So Alan and I both mocked up a couple versions of the new UI icons. We simulated the tool, built it out, sent it around internally, got some feedback, and we ended up running down to a couple selected versions that we all kind of as a group liked. But we knew we needed to kind of crowdsource the final choice, right? Just to make sure that our users were happy about that. So to do that, to get to the spot that you're currently looking at on screen right here, what we actually did was we set up a simulation of Lectora inside of Lectora. And then we added XAPI statements using Lectora Desktop's updated XAPI method, right? So we went in and we updated the context of the XAPI statements that we generate in the tool so that you can get page level item analysis, okay? And then we ran it through a focus group. So actually the page that I've got up right here is the beginning page of what we did for a UI test for our focus group. It's built all entirely in Lectora, and it tests the new UI of Lectora built inside of Lectora. Hopefully my connection will actually connect and show you the next page. But basically what we did is we popped up a couple different examples, variants of our UI designs on screen, and we asked our users to go through and do stuff, right? Find a shape in the background, in the Project Explorer, find a text object, find the things that you would do to actually build a course and use Lectora, right? And then we repeated that process for the different UI variants that we have in there, but with, obviously differences in what we were asking and how we were asking it. Now, along the way of doing that, we tracked every single thing, like I said, that users were doing with XAPI. We tracked time between clicks, we tracked misses of clicks, we tracked how many clicks a person got right, we tracked whether or not they were skipping an individual section. We also used Lectora's question options, right? So the built-in quizzing to grab qualitative data from them. What do you like most about your favorite design? What would your favorite style? What would make your favorite style even better? And then we cobbled all that together on our LRS and generated some dashboards. And what came out of that was pretty great because it gave us some really, really, really clear evidence of which UI we should run with. First thing that we saw, qualitatively, the favorite style, we had a very clear winner. We had about 75% of our users that went for variant B or style 2 in here. But quantitative data, we also saw very similar stuff. So aside from, you know, the general responses about which was harder or easier to use, that time tracking stuff that we did came in really, really handy. First of all, you see it in red there. Our original design for this, it took almost twice, actually maybe even a little over twice the amount of time for users to perform a task in that version as compared to both option B and option C that we presented with them, or we presented them with afterward. Okay. Now, option B and option C that we had were remarkably close. You can see on the graph there on the right-hand side, average time to complete each variant in minutes. There's almost no distinction between B and C. This was really, really interesting to us and kind of further proof that the qualitative data would certainly kind of play out if we went ahead and invested in this UI, because the way we staggered this course, we should have kind of seen that A would have taken a really long time, B would have taken X amount of minutes, and then we should have probably seen you know, a noticeable speed up in variant C, just because you're used to the general process that you're being asked to go through. So even if it's not the same stuff, right, you know, I'm going to get asked to do a thing, it's probably going to be like this, I'll click over here, and your mind's in the right place. But we didn't see that. So what we kind of gleaned from that was that not only was option B the generally, you know, best perceived style, right? It's voted here as the easiest to use, voted over here as the you know, favorite, but it had the best performance effect on our users as well. So they were able to get things done faster in that version than either of the other options that they were presented. Additionally, it had fewer missed clicks by variant, fewer skips, all this data that we were able to pull from out-of-the-box statements that came out of Lectora. Okay, now I think that's pretty awesome, just in and of itself. But then we took that one step further, and we realized, you know, okay, so we're showing we've got a selected view here, and we're showing kind of a limited set of the tool. But inside the tool, there are spots that just have a whole lot going on, right? In your Insert tab, in your Tools tab, there's a lot of stuff to choose from. So we kind of were faced with the challenge there, because if we went in and we just blanket colored every single thing in the tool, kind of, you know, the way that it gets done often in this kind of thing, we might go right back to the problem we had to begin with, where we're losing some efficiency based on color or lack thereof. So instead, we created this. I got kind of on a little particular about this, and we ended up creating some logic around how the colors are applied. This is our palette that we applied to the Lectora UI, and what you'll notice is that it groups objects that you may commonly use. So structural objects in here are now green. Test objects refer back to the LD19 color. Those are red. Same with surveys. Those are blue. Media objects are all yellow. Utility objects, as we name them, are brown, right? You can read the list here. But what this does for you is that it makes it, once you kind of understand the pattern, it makes it a lot easier to find things in the Project Explorer and in the ribbon by using way markers, right? So I know that if I'm trying to find a video file in a really long, for instance, Project Explorer, well, I just need to look for yellow, and there it is, right? Same thing. If I need to find an action, I know those are in orange, and every single thing I need there, I could just look for the orange and grab it. Same thing with shapes, right? They're always this blue color and a very specific shape in there. So we also applied it to our ribbon so that you know kind of what like objects are like. But beyond that, to keep from kind of color chaos from taking over, we also minimize the color on anything that isn't used a whole lot, right? So in our add text pane over here, the primary object that you're going to use is this text block over to the left. Yeah, you might be using date and time a lot. Maybe you're using breadcrumb a lot. But in every single course, you're going to use that text block. So we made sure that we put that one in color, and we made the small icons a little more neutral. This is, you know, so I'm looking at the clock. I'm already 3 minutes over. The intention here was really to figure out a way to update and freshen LD, not only in terms of the features and options that you have to build really great courses inside this tool, but also to try to help you guys with building in a little bit of efficiency just in the way that the UI is structured, right? I hope that you'll love it because we've gotten some really great feedback from early users. We all have grown to really be pretty proud of and happy with it. So hopefully you do too. Unfortunately, I am already out of time. Hopefully that didn't confuse anybody with my whirlwind. And maybe we have a few minutes of questions. Otherwise, I'm done. All right, there we go.
We have so many questions. And I don't know, should I take the screen, Chris? Is there another person we want to pass the screen to here at 5 minutes after?
No, it's you. It's all you, Andrew. And let's,
the pressure.
to the extent that we can, let's try and pick up a few of those questions to the panel. Anything that we can't get to, we can certainly follow up in our email or even with a blog. And please let us know things that you liked here and want to see us go into deeper. We will plan a whole webinar around those things. We're here for you.
Sure. Okay. Questions. Do you have Flipcard? Oh my goodness, more are coming in. Do you have Flipcard or image carousels as new features currently or coming down the road?
Bill.
Yeah, that's they're coming down the road. That's the short answer. Yep.
Okay.
They're on the roadmap, as we product people would say.
Yes. All of this is fully responsive, yes?
Same RCD view that you're used to. Yep.
Fantastic. Is scroll only on vertical?
As of right now, yes. Roadmap for the future. We also want it horizontal. That'll enable games. It's a big ticket item for us, so you'll see that coming down. Hopefully, relatively soonish.
Maybe not as soon as some of the other things, but that is also on the roadmap. I'll tell you what, guys. One of the things is that helps us is if we get a lot of user feedback that is demanding or even just requesting nicely. Demanding is a good word. Certain features, that makes it easier for us on the product team to elevate those to leadership and get sponsorship for throwing resources at them. So that's how the world works when you're
what are some ways to do that? What are some ways to do that? Send an email to support@elearningbrothers.com. Visit the community.
Community is the best way to do it because if one person enters that in community, y'all can actually vote on it. And things that vote, they literally rise up, and the things that rise up get the most attention. So please let us know.
There's a suggestion area there, right?
Yes. Stephanie,
yes,
if you wouldn't mind posting a link to the community out there in the chat so that people can find that a little bit easier. Any improvements to debug?
We didn't put in any specific improvements to debug yet, but we did get some feedback in the community about that, and we're aware of some issues that we want to improve.
Yep, let us know what you would like to see in debug. Sometimes we'll hear things, can you improve this or can you make this better? Tell us, if you can't tell us specifically what you would like us to do, what we really want to hear is what is getting in your way? What is impeding you from doing what you want to do? What is it you want to do? And what is getting in your way? And then we can interpret that and figure out how to make that better in tool.
Excellent. When it comes to accessibility, can you talk a little bit about the new states that we've added as well as the new styles that have been added?
Joe, do you want to pick that one up for us? I know you were working on the buttons and some things with accessibility.
Right, so for shapes and buttons, we cleaned up a lot of the screen reader chatter that it had where it shouldn't have been reading certain items. We also set the default for when you're in an accessible title for images and shapes to be set to not generate alt tags, and now with the button states are read when you tab to a button. It'll read the text and then the button state. So those are some of the items, but we really cleaned up a lot of stuff. Just chatter that the screen reader was picking up, and we also cleaned up the the way that initially hidden objects, when they're shown, are read, so that in the past we had some issues with timing, and now that should all be cleaned up. So we've done a lot of improvements there.
Yeah.
This is all feedback that came directly through community and also through the LAUG, the Lectora Accessibility User Group, who we meet with regularly, and they provide feedback for us. And Joe picked up a number of those issues and really hunkered down and, as he says, cleaned up a lot of the stuff that we were seeing.
The development team did.
The development team did, right.
Yeah.
You're
Great.
right, actually, yeah.
Okay, there's so many questions, but we are well over time. I'm going to capture all of these questions and we will get to them. We will get to all of these. So thank you for participating, everybody. As you can see on the screen, you're welcome to try Lectora if you haven't already. You can try Lectora at elearningbrothers.com under Create Learning. You'll find stuff about Lectora, Scenario VR, all of that good stuff. And if you're currently using Lectora, you can get your upgrade there at elearningbrothers.com as well. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to our awesome, enormous panel. Thanks for all of your wisdom and knowledge. We will get questions answered. I'll get this information out to all of you to fill out. So thanks everybody. We'll see you guys next time.